The story of the Great Depression begins with a world that seemed unstoppable. In the Roaring 1920s, America was thriving. Factories hummed, radios filled the air with jazz, and millions believed prosperity would last forever. The stock market soared, and the dream of endless growth blinded the public to the storm forming on the horizon. As people poured their savings into stocks, speculation became an obsession. Ordinary citizens borrowed money to invest, convinced prices would rise forever. Banks encouraged this fever, offering easy credit and margin loans. But beneath the glittering surface, cracks began to form. Production was rising faster than consumption, and inequality left millions without the means to buy the goods factories produced. On October 24, 1929, known forever as Black Thursday, panic struck Wall Street. Stocks that had once seemed invincible began to fall. Within hours, billions of dollars in wealth evaporated. The sell-off continued into the following week, culminating in Black Tuesday, October 29th, when the market collapsed completely. Crowds gathered outside the New York Stock Exchange, watching in disbelief as years of savings vanished. The American dream had suddenly turned into a nightmare. As the financial system crumbled, fear spread like wildfire. Banks failed one after another, as depositors rushed to withdraw their money. There was no federal insurance to protect savings, and when banks closed their doors, customers lost everything. Families who once lived comfortably now found themselves destitute. Unemployment skyrocketed, and by 1933, nearly 1 in 4 Americans was out of work. Factories shut down, farms went bankrupt, bread lines stretched for blocks in every major city. In the countryside, the Dust Bowl compounded the misery. Years of over-farming and drought turned the Great Plains into a wasteland. Crops withered, soil turned to dust, and entire communities fled westward in search of survival. Cars packed with desperate families crept along Route 66 toward California, a journey immortalized in John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. In the midst of despair, shanty towns began to appear on the outskirts of cities. They were made of scrap wood, cardboard, and tin, symbols of lost hope. People called them Hoovervilles, mocking President Herbert Hoover, whose policies were seen as indifferent to the suffering. Men stood on street corners selling apples for pennies, while children rummaged through garbage cans for food. The sense of humiliation was as heavy as the hunger itself. The Depression was not confined to America alone. Global trade collapsed, foreign markets closed, and unemployment spread across Europe and beyond. Industrial nations struggled to maintain stability, while newly formed governments in places like Germany found themselves vulnerable to extremist movements, promising renewal and revenge. Out of economic despair, dark ideologies began to take root, setting the stage for future global conflict. Meanwhile, President Hoover believed the economy would correct itself. He encouraged businesses to maintain wages and production, but without sufficient demand, companies could not sustain themselves. Voluntary cooperation failed, and federal relief remained minimal. The Reconstruction Finance Corporation was created to lend money to banks and industries, but it was too little, too late. By 1932, the nation's faith in Hoover had crumbled, and the people turned to a new leader, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. When Roosevelt took office in March 1933, America was at its breaking point. Banks were collapsing daily, and the country's morale was shattered. In his inaugural address, Roosevelt spoke words that would echo through history. "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." His calm confidence rekindled hope in a nation that had nearly given up. Roosevelt immediately declared a national bank holiday, closing all financial institutions temporarily. Inspectors reviewed them, and only stable banks were allowed to reopen. The move restored faith in the banking system almost overnight. Then came the New Deal, a sweeping series of programs designed to bring relief, recovery, and reform. The Civilian Conservation Corps put young men to work planting trees, building parks, and restoring lands damaged by erosion. The Works Progress Administration built roads, schools, and hospitals, giving millions of unemployed Americans a purpose once more. The Agricultural Adjustment Act aimed to stabilize crop prices, while the Tennessee Valley Authority brought electricity to rural communities for the first time. The Social Security Act of 1935 introduced unemployment insurance and pensions for the elderly, forever changing the relationship between the government and its citizens. Roosevelt's fireside chats, broadcast over the radio, helped Americans feel connected to their president as never before. His voice, calm and reassuring, gave people the courage to endure and believe in recovery. Despite these efforts, the road to recovery was long and uneven. The economy began to improve by the mid-1930s, but full prosperity remained elusive. Industrial strikes, political opposition, and fiscal challenges tested Roosevelt's policies. Critics accused him of expanding government too far, while others argued he had not done enough. But for millions who finally found work and hope, the New Deal was a lifeline. Across the country, art and music captured the emotions of the era. Woody Guthrie's songs told stories of hardship and migration. Dorothea Lange's photographs revealed the haunting faces of the displaced. Painters and writers documented the resilience of ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges. The Great Depression reshaped not just the economy but the very soul of America. It also redefined the role of government in society. Never again would Americans view federal power in the same way. The crisis had proven that unchecked capitalism could collapse under its own weight and that public welfare could not be ignored. New regulations, including the creation of the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, ensured that the financial chaos of 1929 would never repeat so easily. By the late 1930s, war clouds began to gather in Europe and Asia. As nations rearmed, industrial production surged once more. When World War II erupted, American factories that had been silent for years roared back to life, supplying weapons and materials for the Allies. Unemployment disappeared almost overnight. The war, tragic as it was, finally ended the Great Depression. Yet, the lessons it left behind endure to this day. It taught the world that markets alone could not guarantee prosperity. It showed that human endurance could overcome the harshest trials, and it revealed how leadership, vision, and collective effort could rebuild even the most broken society. The Great Depression remains one of history's greatest cautionary tales, a reminder of how fragile prosperity can be, and how vital compassion and courage are in times of crisis. Today, economists still study the causes and responses to the Depression, seeking to prevent future collapses. Teachers still tell their students about the soup kitchens, the Dust Bowl, and Roosevelt's New Deal. And families still pass down stories of how their grandparents survived those desperate years with dignity and strength. From Wall Street to the wheat fields, from the banks of the Hudson to the plains of Oklahoma, the Great Depression reshaped America's identity. It broke the illusion of endless growth, but built a foundation of resilience and reform that endures to this day. And through it all, one truth became clear. Prosperity without balance is a fragile dream, but unity, compassion, and perseverance can transform tragedy into triumph. If you found this story of history insightful, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell for more deep historical explorations. We'd love to hear from you. Comment below and tell us what other moments in history you'd like us to bring to life next, because understanding the past helps us build a stronger future.